The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cowboys Storyline. I am Nick Eatman. It is Monday, September the 30th, and the Cowboys are coming off a mini bye weekend, I guess you could say. I felt like they didn't play. It's been like 2 weeks since they played that game Thursday night, but it's not. It's just been a few days. Cowboys get the win over the Giants to get to 2-2, and then get to watch the rest of the league and different things happen. I just think it's just a weird league this year. There's a lot of stuff. It's hard to just predict anything. It's been a month. It's been 4 games, but I still feel like the jury's out on so many teams, Cowboys being one of them, on what they are, what they're going to be. Obviously, it's going to be an uphill battle, just looking at the schedule, looking at the teams that they're going to face. I say that even though I said it's hard to figure out what they are, and it is, but I think these are going to be tough games. The Cowboys that's just the way they're built right now. It's going to be a close game, especially when you lose 2 defensive ends like they've lost in the last few days now, with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons expected to miss some time. D-Law, it could be 2 months, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see what that looks like with him with a foot injury. Micah Parsons, high ankle sprain. I would guess with him, he'll be fighting to get back for the Detroit game in 2 weeks, but with the bye week, it makes more sense to, maybe get him back for the 49ers. We don't know we don't know yet what's going to happen. I've seen Jason Witten come back from 2 high ankle sprains on a Thanksgiving week and play. So a high ankle sprain isn't the same for everyone, but for a guy that's, quick twitch like he is and gets off the edge and uses that strength and power, I would think it's going to be hard for him to just come back and be Micah Parsons like he is this week. But again, we'll find out. Mike McCarthy talks to the media later this afternoon. He'll have more. I would hope he has more insight on that. All right, 888-855-2297. Let's get to the phone lines. Let's go to Bruce in Houston to start us off.
Hey, Nick. Good morning.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing okay. I'm 62 years old, and I've been a Cowboy fan since I was 6, I guess. Started watching football with Pops, and so I've seen all the Super Bowls and that we've won, and the good seasons and the bad. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, maybe it's just because of that, I used to get mad. It ruined my week in school and college and, even at work. You'd fight with your coworkers about the Cowboys, especially living in Houston, having to put up with the Oilers all those years and what have you. But I don't even do that anymore now. This team, until, yes, they beat the Giants, and I'm happy about that. But, it's just like the last few years. And they beat up on the Giants, the Cleveland Browns maybe, and, I don't mean to say it disrespectfully, the sisters of the NFL, but that's what it is. But with the good teams, they seem to not play very well during the regular season or in the playoffs. And I think a lot of Cowboy fans are feeling the same way I am right now. I notice I read it a lot in the blogs of the Blogging the Boys, how, frustrated people are. And so just like with the running back position, I think they should have spent the second or third round of last year's draft, but they didn't, and going by committee is not the answer. Hopefully they can spend one next year, but because it's going to take a rebuild, but getting hamstrung with a big contract with Dak was not the answer in my opinion, but it is what it is. And you never did tell me, does he have a no trade clause in this new contract?
I don't know. I really don't know that. I don't know. I don't know if it matters. I mean, it doesn't matter right now. I mean, you're not going to trade him because no one even. You don't really think like that because you can't get out of this deal for the next 2 or 3 years. So
2 years, yeah, I know. So a lot of those deals you can get out in a couple of years. But I hate to say it, and I like Micah, but he almost Dallas. I know they may have the money, but it might be wise to use him like a Herschel Walker and trade him if he's healthy, just to bounce back from this. But I'll hang up and listen.
All right,
But you know, until they prove it during the regular season, one other quick thing, and I didn't really want to mention it, but I think I will. My dad's 88, and he's suffering from dementia, which is a terrible disease. But I mean, he would be the same way. I am because of him. You know, I'd get mad at the Cowboys, and he watches it with me now. But he'd rather watch a Western almost. You know, and it's terrible to say that, but I almost feel like him. You know, like, oh well, if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. And
all right.
Anyway,
Bruce.
but I enjoy your show, Nick.
Thank
you, buddy.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for getting us started off. Hey, that's your opinion. That's fine. I get the frustration. I get it, but I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of football left to be played, and so I guess I've been trained differently, and I say that because like just working here in the first 3 years I worked here, or the first 4 years, but the 3 in a row was 5-11. So, you know, to survive in this job and do it, I look at different things that kind of get me excited about this team and covering the Cowboys or watching the team and all that. So, you know, I don't think this is a team that's going to be competing for a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a fight to get into the playoffs. That's what I look at. That's what I think this team's going to be. So, my perspective's changed a little bit. So every game is, you know, the Giants, the Commanders, everybody you play, Carolina, the goal is to go win. It's not, there's no, you know, style points or any of that kind of stuff. I think that's one thing we've learned on this. So that's good for me. And now that I know, you know, what this season is, but to me, the expectations, if your expectations are get to the playoffs and we got to win in the playoffs, we got to end this streak of 30 years without a Super Bowl. I don't think this is the year for that. So if that's the goal, if that's the standard that it's going to be, well, you know, it's not going to be a fun season, I don't think, for you. But I don't know. That's every fan is different. Let's go to Gary in New Mexico.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Good, Gary. How are you?
I agree with you a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of football left to be played, man. And right now it looks like Washington may be the team to beat in the division, but we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
But I do have a trivia question for you since it's Pittsburgh week.
All right.
Okay, so Roger Staubach, my favorite all-time Cowboy, never beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in his career. He was 0-4 lifetime against the Steelers.
Okay.
There's 2 other teams that Roger Staubach played at least once in his career that he never beat. He played each one of them one time. Can you name those 2 AFC teams?
Oh, man, I would say the Jets. I don't.
No, he beat the Jets.
This is just a stab. I wouldn't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna.
I knew I would get you on this one.
Yeah.
I finally got you on one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Raiders.
The only other 2 teams Roger couldn't beat. Played them one time each, lost those games. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to the present time. So now my expectation, I think the expectation should always be Super Bowl or bust. I mean, we are the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we likely won't reach those expectations, but we need to shoot for the stars, right? And enjoy one week at a time.
No,
but with
I think there's a difference between the standard and the expectation. I think the standard is to do that, but you don't expect that this year, though, right? I mean, you don't expect them to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm deranged, Nick.
Okay, all right. You know what? Then?
I think, you know what? I always see the positive. I mean, I'm looking at the positive. And this is a young football team, and there's a lot of football left, man.
Yeah.
And let's just see how it plays out because you just don't know.
That's right.
I mean, I was very encouraged by the football I saw yesterday, with the exception of Washington looking so good. Everybody else I was worried about didn't look any better than us. So we'll see how it goes. But here's my question for you, and I'll hang up. I think we need to see a lot more of Hunter Lipke and Rico Dowdle and a lot less of the other running backs. And I'll hang up and listen to your response. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I mean, everything that Hunter, everything he's doing is he's getting better and better every single week. He is going to get more touches, get more looks. He's I mean, everything they put on his plate, he takes it and he keeps adding to it. I mean, he's like Thanksgiving, you know, he just keep piling things on his plate and he's eating it all. I love what he's been able to do. And I think I said this last week here or somewhere, but you know, what the 49ers have developed in that Kyle Juszczyk Seems like it's a role for Hunter Lipke, maybe a little bit more of a runner though, and less tight end, but a little more of a runner who can do some things there. I mean, they're gonna need him, and he's what a I don't know about weapon is the right word, but it's just a luxury to have a guy that can do so many different things. And it helps you on game day. Well, you don't have to take a fourth tight end here if this guy's banged up because you got Hunter Lipke, or maybe you don't have to go heavy at running back this week because you have Hunter Lipke. So there's some things you can do there. And also, you might even be a linebacker down, but he can do that role on special teams that linebackers could do. So that's a really valuable player when you can have guys that can do different things. And he's making plays. I mean, he helped make like 3 critical plays in that game, first downs that he picked up 3 times. One as a pass catcher, 2 runs that helped them. I think they scored on all of those drives. Maybe the field goal miss wasn't one, but that was huge because that first down got more time off the clock. All right, let's go to Bob in Rio Grande Valley.
How you doing, Nick?
Hey, Bob.
You sound a little flat today, buddy. That's kind of unusual for you.
Flat? I sound flat?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like you're a little discouraged. I think we all are a little bit at this point.
No. I'm not discouraged on this team at all. I mean, my expectations are that they're going to be fighting till the very end to try to make it into the playoffs. That's what I think that they're going to be. I don't think this is a 12-5 team, but I don't think it's a 5-12 team. I think it's a team that's going to fight, and I think it's going to be fun. I'm ready. I mean, like I say, this is a roller coaster. I got my hands up. I'm ready to go. Like, buckle it,
All right.
I'm ready for it. Here, have my hat. Hold my hat, sir, because this is going to be a fun ride. It's going to be that kind of ride all year.
I got a couple of little things here. You were mentioning Hunter Lipke. We're starting to utilize that guy to part of his potential, but I don't think we're utilizing him yet to all of it. There's a lot more to him that we can still utilize, which will give us a great deal of help. I'm encouraged about the offense and what I see on the offense. There's some things I see on the defense that are encouraging, particularly Mozzie. His last game, of course, I'm not going to judge him on one game. The proof's in the pudding. We'll see what happens in the future. But here's my question. Right now it looks like we're definitely going to need some help on the pass rush. Jerry's got I understand, or I've picked up through some of the other programs that he might have about $25 million to work with. Is there anybody that we can go out there and get that will help us with a pass rush until we can get our 2 boys back? That's my question.
Okay.
Thank you for taking my call. Have a great day, buddy.
Thank you. There are guys you can go get, and where we work here, and we're not going to sit there and talk about players on other teams because that would lead us down a road of tampering. And if you don't think that's real, it is. Trust me, I've been there. It's not fun. So you really can't speculate on that kind of stuff because what happens is then if it does happen, then it was like the Cowboys were doing this all along. They even told their guys on the podcast, and they knew about it, and so we don't even go down that road. I don't know of names specifically, but I mean I'm sure what you need to look for if you're trying to get help right away is you need to look for players that are probably in the 3rd or 4th year of their career, and maybe former 1st or 2nd round picks that are maybe not going to be retained next year, and then but they're probably going to go hit free agency. So what you have to do is trade for the fact that basically trading a team for the comp pick that they're going to get in 2 years, and say, all right, we'll take him on, and then we'll deal with him at the end of the year. We got 30 other unrestricted free agents. We'll add him in. That's how you get value, I think, for players that have talent, but maybe it hasn't worked out so great where they are right now. That's and that's the same with a running back. If you were to do that, it'd be that kind of guy, kind of younger. Team maybe is going to re-sign him, maybe not. And then you trade for that kind of player. That's always the kind of guy that you trade for. The guy that gets traded is always in that boat. Like he's got some kind of talent, but he's just not playing for whatever the reason, and it's probably not going to work out for him long term. That's why they trade him. So, all right, Dylan in Northport, Florida.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks. It's funny. A couple callers ago, a gentleman was talking about the standard. We're the Cowboys, so it's Super Bowl or bust. That's the standard. And I'm just like, I think there's a bit of an age and generational difference there. I'm just like, can we get past like the divisional round? Because I've never seen that happen. So that would be like crazy cool.
Me either.
To do that. Yeah, I mean, at least you got to experience it before you worked for the Cowboys. I know since you worked there,
Yeah,
you haven't done it, but
yeah, true.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's like, but I just find that's funny. It's kind of a generational difference there. And, I'm not going to make any like definitive declarations about this team until maybe around Thanksgiving time, unless it really falls off a cliff. But you're going to see all season long, like the really good teams that are really good at rushing the ball, they're going to run on us, and it's going to suck, and we're going to sit here and hate it. But they only have a few of those on the schedule. And so I think you'll see a good mix of those games, but as we'll see a good mix of the ones like the Giants game too, where they do a good job limiting the other team on the run. And we'll have to see if the pass defense can improve, because that was pretty bad. There was no pass rush, and so we'll have to see. Now that's a concern, obviously. You'll have Bland coming back and some reinforcements there. I do also think it's time to take a look at benching Wilson and maybe even Hooker too for Wanye and Bell once Bell's healthy. I think especially Donovan, he's actively trying to, I think, lose you games here at this point. It's been a little rough for him. But I do have one question for you, and then I'll hang up. The line drive knuckleball that Aubrey does in the kickoffs, are we going to see more of that, or are they just going to do it 1 to 2 times a game because they don't want these return guys to get acclimated? Because every time they do it, it's a positive result where the guy's bobbling it or dropping it or whatever it might be. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, I think more than anything, thank you for the call, Dylan. I think more than anything, you'll see a difference in the kickoff return here in the next, definitely in the next 2 months, probably in the next month, when the weather starts to change, you'll see a lot more returns. The ball won't sail as far. There'll be you'll see some turnovers too. I think you'll see some knuckleball type kicks, whether they're intended to be knuckleballs or not. So I think that'll happen, and it gets colder. It'll be a little tougher to field. So I would imagine you'll see that kick a little bit more when they're playing outdoors. Maybe even a game like Sunday. It's not going to be cold, but it's not going to be. I think it's going to be in the 60s, maybe 50s or 60s. But if there's wind or anything like that, I think you'll see some of that those type of kicks because they're tough to field. And if you don't field it right away, if it goes to the end zone, perfect, 20-yard line, that's where you want. If you do try to field it and you don't and you bobble it, that's even better, because by the time he gets it up and he's to the 15-20, that I'm sure there's going to be guys right there ready to tackle him. So you'll see a little bit of change there. As for running, stopping the run, I think they'll be okay even with Tank out. I mean, because Golston and Marshawn Nealon they'll be fine replacing him. Replacing Micah, I mean, you can't. I mean, there is not a Micah. He's in Cleveland or with the Raiders or what. I mean, there's Pittsburgh. I mean, there's only a few and like that, and so. I'm sure I missed somebody, Bosa or whatever, but I'm just saying there's only a handful of pass rushers like that. They're gonna have to figure out other ways to get there. This is where Zimmer's experience has got to come into play. I mean, this has happened before. I'm sure guys like Anthony Barr or somebody got hurt. Minnesota, Danielle Hunter. Those guys have been hurt. You got to figure out, how do you generate pass rush? Can Overshown do something? Can he be somebody with all that length and speed to do some things? I'm not saying line him up at end. I'm just saying figure out different ways and schemes to get to the quarterback and do it in unique ways. And you have a player like Overshown that should be able to help. You got to try something. You got to try something, because you're not just going to go pick up a pass rusher off the street that can do the same things. Yes, Carl Lawson can get in there, and they'll probably bring someone else in, but you're going to have to figure out. You have to be creative in ways to get to the quarterback here. All right, let's go to Curtis in Ada, Oklahoma.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm excellent. So here's what I'm thinking. So the NFL is really not like the NBA because if you're the worst team, you get the best pick. That's not guaranteed, but I'm a Thunder fan, and we do a good job drafting, and the Cowboys do a good job drafting too. So I feel like if we got a high pick, which we haven't gotten over the last several years, we do good with it. So here's my idea. I think that if you're Jerry, you call up San Francisco. They might be feeling pretty good, and you say, can we trade you Kevontae Turpin and 2 second-round picks for Christian McCaffrey? And then if you can get that done, you just explore your roster. You let Guyton, Beebe, Carson, Overshown, these guys that it's their first year, they're a rookie, whatever, you let them develop. You probably lose a bunch of games, but if you're in a position where you could get into the wild card, hey, you bring everybody back, all hands on deck, and you make a push. If not, I think you've still set yourself up really good for next year. So just an interesting idea, and I wanted to know your thoughts. I'll hang up and listen.
All right. I just got done talking about, hypothetical trades, stuff like that, stuff we really can't talk about. I think I could talk about this one because oh, man. I'm sorry. I just saw on the news Dikembe Mutombo passed away. Sorry. Man. Didn't think that was going to hit me like that. I didn't know that happened. Sorry. Man, I just remember that finger swag. I don't think that's a hypothetical trade at all. The best player in football when he's healthy for 2 second-round picks and a punt return / gadget receiver who weighs 150 pounds, trading him to your arch rival, or one of your rivals, a team that the Cowboys haven't been better than the 49ers. I don't see that one happening at all. You said 2 second-round picks. I think you're going to need to go higher than that, and I just don't see that happening. It's not that type of player. It's the player that they're not going to bring back. It's not the difference maker on their team. He could win MVP of the league if they come back and play well, because you're just seeing the value. They're not the same team without him. They're losing games. So he's an MVP candidate type of player, and it's going to take a lot more than that. So I don't know about that one. All right. We're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back here on Cowboys Storyline. We got more calls to answer here when we come back.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
We got big personalities. We got big hair, big belt buckles. We got fans all across this big state and enemies in every other one. We even got a big star on the 50-yard line. Smirnoff knows football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together. With good drinks and good folks home or away, we rally together. We cry together. And we always rally cry together because, most of all, we got big love for them boys. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
Come shop at the Star in Frisco on Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Flea Styles Market at the Star, presented by Maker Place and Michaels. Be a lot of cool stuff out there. Chris Beam will be telling jokes, doing a lot of cool stuff for kids. Admission is free. Visit thestardistrict.com for more information. All right, let's go to Marcus in College Station. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, I just wanted to get your thoughts on, I wanted to voice what my frustration has been with this team. But before I say that, first, I do want to say that I think that for every good thing this organization does, it outweighs, for the most part, the bad things, outside of course, winning a championship. But where my frustration lies is this is an 8-8 league, and I'm pretty sure everyone that knows the NFL agrees with that. So with that logic, I look at the opportunities this team could have made to trade for players like Von Miller during that season that the Rams traded for him, and that could have been a difference in a tight game like that. And my point about it being an 8-8 league is that you're going to have a chance to compete every year, especially when you got a Dak Prescott. And I know they're worried about signing Micah, but he's still under contract. We can franchise tag him. If he doesn't like that, you draft pretty damn good. So I would like the return I would get for him and being able to replace him with draft picks. So that's where my frustration is. I think this team is just, they're getting worried about the future a little too much when the future is right now. We're actually rebuilding right now, low-key, just for the fans if they don't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is. Well, you're always kind of rebuilding anyways because that's the nature of the league. You kind of need to. But you're right. I mean, this is kind of a rebuild. Next year is going to be a lot more than this. This is kind of the last year, I think, of this where they're gonna try to, they've been hanging on here. People don't like to hear it, but that's exactly what Jerry meant when he made that comment, was because he thought that they've been doing that, and this is the year where, this is going to be their best year to really, really compete.
Yeah,
All right.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad because, Micah's due for a big contract, and you didn't do nothing to take advantage of his rookie deal. That applies for premier defensive players as well, But, I mean, it is what it is. That part's frustrating. Outside of all that, I think they're doing a great job. You win 12 games every year. Me as a fan, I'm enjoying these last 3 seasons, not the end, but I'm enjoying the winning.
Right. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, I mean, it's. I get the frustration, and I get it, and I also understand too that like when people call in, they haven't called in a long time, or sometimes first-time callers, and so they have things to say, and it's the same point that we've heard others say. I mean, I that's part of the show. I mean, I get that. Just because I've heard it here 10 or 11 times, that's part of it. I mean, let y'all get that off your chest, and it is very similar. So that's one thing that forgive me for that. I have to when you hear that frustration, you just hear it from College Station, Texas, and Florida or New Mexico or Houston. It sounds the same, but it is a little bit different, and everybody has their own perspective. And I definitely understand the frustration. To me, like I said, I've learned we've all learned in our own way to kind of channel that and figure out ways to get us excited and to go back and watch each game each week. That's kind of what we do. It's the cycle that we're in. All right, let's go to Albert. He's in Tucson, Arizona.
Morning, Nick. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too shabby. Of course, it's a good week. Cowboys, pulled it out. Wasn't pretty, but hey, it's the parity of the league. Let's be honest. I'd rather us win close ones or not be as delusional as people say that we are. I'd rather be real and be like, hey, you know what? My team's fighting. My team's,
right.
My team's going at it. But the question I got is, Stephen Jones said player acquisition is a 365.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, a 24/7, 365 kind of thing, right? With Mozzie Smith kind of, taking that soft comment that people said about him to heart, you can tell his play has gone up a little bit. What is the need for us that you think that there's a player out there that can make that change, that Charles Haley type of player that can, obviously we're going to need a defensive end, right? But I think that's why we've drafted well, and I think we'll be somewhat okay. But what player out there or what position do you think is vital for us moving forward? That's all I got. Thank you so much. God bless you guys, and go Cowboys.
All right, thank you. what the position that's out there. I mean, there's really not a lot out there that are going to be that level. I mean, you're talking about a different time. Obviously, 32 years ago when Charles Haley was there, and the 49ers just decided to part ways with him. They'd had enough, and the Cowboys made a trade, and it worked. And and Jerry has done that. He's gotten guys that other teams didn't want for whatever the reason. That's happened several times, but I don't know if that guy is even there. The position would be, a pass rusher. That would be the position. That would be one that would change what you're doing. I guess it could be a running back if you got one that was available. But those are the two difference-making positions I think that this team would maybe consider bringing in. But I still feel like, and Jerry will talk tomorrow on the radio station 105.3 The Fan, and I'm sure he'll say that he's not looking to do that right now. But we still have a couple weeks before the bye week, and we'll see how this game goes. And you also got to check with the nature of the injury and just how long these guys will be out. I mean, I think with Tank, he'll be out for a couple of months maybe. But I think with Nealon, with Chauncey Golston, those kind of defensive ends, they should be okay there. No disrespect to Tank. I mean, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler. I'm talking about having to replace them. But again, getting some juice around, off the edge at pass rush, that's going to be a huge challenge. All right, let's go to Travis in San Antonio.
Hey, Nick. Happy Monday to you and Chris.
Thank you.
Hopefully you guys are having a good start to the day.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just also want to say hopefully everyone can work in the finger wave today. Rest in peace to Dikembe. I kind of knew, I knew of his diagnosis, but it always, like you said, it always kind of hits you like all of a sudden.
I didn't know that.
Like,
I didn't know anything about that, honestly. Didn't know what he was up to, and I just hadn't heard that. But
it was fairly recent. It was maybe about a year ago that they announced that he was dealing with it.
Yeah.
So that always sucks.
Yeah, what a fun player he was, though. I mean, really.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just good for the league.
He has a no pun intended. He has a big hand and part of the reason why the NBA has grown so big, like overseas, right?
Sure. Yeah, without a doubt. So, all right. So what do you got, man? I know what you have. Go for it. I know exactly what you're gonna say. Go for it. Come on.
Maybe. So,
come on.
So two of the things that I got
Mozzie Smith.
I wasn't going to say Mozzie Smith. But I will take the I was extremely proud to see that, and hopefully like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, he's a Pro Bowler now, but I do hope that we never know when stuff clicks for guys.
Right.
And maybe the only thing I can think of, Nick, is maybe the last 2 weeks, maybe Skanina and Zimmer had conversations with him. You never know. This is all speculation, right? But maybe they were like, look, like it's not good. We'll get your butt in gear. And he played, I don't know if you saw, but one of the tackles I was a little worried they were going to throw a flag is when he was getting his hands on people, he was being pretty violent. So
yeah,
that's
he played violent. He played violent. Yeah. He was not only tackling running backs, but kind of snatching them to the ground a little bit. I mean, like he played mad, like he hadn't, like people were calling him a bust.
Yeah, like someone, like that's what I say, like maybe like Nina like challenged him or somebody. It was almost like he was real pissed off. So hopefully those buttons, they can keep those buttons pushed.
Well, you're a first-round pick. You're a first-round pick, and they trade for Jordan Phillips, and they draft, or they pick up
that too.
Linval Joseph. I mean, that can't make you feel good, So
no.
Whatever it is, he's got to do it more and more. But he played that game kind of like you would expect him to play.
And I'll throw this in there too, because I heard everyone saying like, oh, the Giants line. The center that he was going against it's John Michael Schmitz. It isn't a guy. I mean, it was a highly rated guy. It wasn't a guy that like it was just some dude, right? But that kind of leads me into my point. The two biggest frustrating things, I know you mentioned this last week maybe, but I'm going to say it again, is like, man, I don't necessarily care that they didn't sign him this offseason, Nick, but man, I know it's revisionist history and we're playing in the past, but like, I really think Henry could have helped last year before the playoffs. I mean, he looks like he still has a lot of juice left, and I don't know, I can't remember the dude's name, but people are getting hurt like tackling him, like hit his quad, and I mean, obviously never want to see a concussion, but he tried tackling him, hit his quad, and got a concussion. Taylor Rapp, that's who it was. So, he's still at peak Derrick Henry. So that's unfortunate to see. And then my biggest mystery, Nick, and I'll leave you with this, is I want to see what you think. My biggest mystery with this team, I've mentioned it before, but is Solari in the scheme, because Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biotish, and Sam Cosme is the three interiors, and they have Andrew Wiley and Brandon Coleman. I say those names because that's the Washington line. Nothing you'd think, nothing special. A guy at center that we thought was and then two guards that we don't really know. Maybe Sam Cosme, some people know because he went to Texas, but they have they're fifth in the NFL in rushing, and I know part of that is they have the quarterback Daniels that's probably helping them a little bit, which maybe goes to we need to see a little bit more of Dak doing not similar type stuff, but maybe a couple more runs, which I know you support.
What's the point that you're making here, though, with the Cowboys?
It's that interior is nowhere close to our interior.
Okay.
And I just don't understand how they're fifth in the league in rushing, and we've been struggling the scheme wasn't good last year, right? We were talking about the scheme last year, and the scheme really has improved this year, and I can't get myself to believe that an interior three of BB, who we think's played pretty well. I know Zach's maybe regressed a little bit, but it's still Zach Martin, right? That's what everyone would say. And Tyler Smith, you're telling me we're not going to take those three over those three?
Yeah.
It's just, and I can't understand. So it's either they are not executing at an extremely low level, or the scheme is just not fit for the players. And just want to see what you think, because I saw that today, and that's eye-opening. Fifth in the NFL, and we're third to last.
Yeah,
something doesn't jive here.
Right.
So I just want to see what you thought. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bean.
4 games. Thank you. 4 games. That they've played, and you got to give them credit. They're 3-1. Washington, and they're playing with leads. They have a better running back than the Cowboys have. Obviously, they have 2 better running backs, I think, than the Cowboys have. And then 3 when you talk about their quarterback is running too. So I think you factor those things in. I don't know if I know it's not just Biotish, just road grading. That's not what he is. That's not the player that he is, and that's not the case. They're doing other things to it, but that's Washington. The Cowboys need to run the football better, regardless of all that. Your point is valid. BB was in here to do that. The 2 guards are supposedly, in that all-pro level. At least they were last year. So they've got to be running the ball. They shouldn't be last in the league. So that's the big problem there. Let's go to take a break here on Cowboy Storyline. Come back and try to get a couple more calls.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
Altec Lansing has been perfecting sound since 1927, bringing you decades of audio excellence to elevate your Dallas Cowboys tailgate ritual. Equip your next pregame with the Sound Rover 180 with 6 hours of playtime, built-in microphone, multicolor light modes, and a rugged exterior that's built to last. Visit AltecLansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off your Sound Rover 180. That's AltecLansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off. Altec Lansing, official audio partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
The Dallas Cowboys and Captain Morgan are celebrating extraordinary, inspiring, and original fans. They're looking for the Fan of the Year for the NFL. You can win prizes, including a trip to Super Bowl 59. Visit DallasCowboys.com/Fan of the Year. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Jason. He's in New Jersey. Jason.
Yo, Nick, what's going on, man?
How are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Happy Monday. Yeah, man. I got a couple comments and then just one question for you to see where your head is with this. I learned a lot this weekend, Nick.
Okay.
I learned so much this weekend. So much that I even wrote notes, but I know I don't have time for that. So basically, what I looked at, the Baltimore game taught me a lot. Styles make matchups, and the 2 teams that beat us, looking at what they did to us and where we are right now as 2-2. There's a lot of 2-2 teams right now that are essentially in the same boat as us, and a lot of teams are trying to figure things out. So styles make matchups. I'm really taken back by the Derrick Henry opportunity that we had, and that's a sour taste. And I'm glad for his success. It's just so hard to watch because all I think of is Dallas having him behind our line, helping us out right now, and making Dak an even better quarterback. But I want to know, how do you feel about what happened this weekend, and has it changed your view on the trajectory of where our team could go this year? That's all I wanted to know, Nick.
All right, thank you. I watched, a couple of games, whatever they offer. I don't have the NFL Network the Sunday Ticket. I don't have that. I don't need it usually. But I only saw a few games. I saw that Philadelphia was getting beat pretty good. That's always fun. But it's so okay. So Philadelphia. I mean, like you're right. Styles make fights, and so and also conditions make fights as well. The way Philadelphia is built. I mean, all I kept hearing in the broadcast was that that game was played in the desert. It sounded. You get the sideline reporter wearing a tank top. Felt like it was 130, just by what they were saying. Those two big guys in the middle for the Eagles, man, they weren't obviously holding up, and Tampa did a great job of that. So my point that Kansas City is 4-0. They look very beatable, but they're 4-0, and that's good for them, and that's what they do. They win games. That's, I think, what this league is. You're right. The Ravens are 2-2. They seem to have it all figured out at 2-2. The Cowboys are 2-2, and what is this team? And they lost to the Ravens, and it wasn't. I guess it was close. It didn't seem that close. But I'm just looking at the schedule, and Pittsburgh with their first loss. I just think every game is going to be a challenge, and I think Pittsburgh losing probably hurts the Cowboys because at 4-0, there'd be a lot more people talking about them and their quarterback and what they are and are they back and all this kind of stuff and how great Tomlin is, and he is great. I'm not saying he's not. But, and then losing on the road to Joe Flacco, it's like, all right, and this is kind of where we thought Pittsburgh was. That game, that's going to be intense on that night game there with the towels waving and all that. Just all the history, Cowboys and Steelers, and that'll come back. And that will be a tough matchup for the Cowboys, especially with their defense struggling the way it is. I think what I learned is that I didn't learn anything. And that's what it'll be for the next month. Probably. That's what's fun to me. I think it's fun. It'll who knows what we have, but I think that we're going to look back at some point in the season and there'll be certain games and you're like, wow, the Ravens lost at home to the Raiders, stuff like that. And maybe it's the Saints. The Saints went and did that to the Cowboys. I hope that's the thing, that the Saints maybe aren't as good and maybe the Cowboys are playing a lot better. And sometimes you have these clunkers in week 2, week 3 of the season that it's hard to explain. Go back and look at some of the bad Cowboy teams. Cowboys bad team in 2002 lost to a Houston expansion team in week 1. They came back in week 2, beat the Titans at home and played great. But sometimes week 2 is a little tricky. We're seeing it so far this year. All right, let's go to Pastor Tolles in Montgomery, Alabama. Pastor Tolles.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Is this a first-time call?
Well, actually, I called you before. It's been a while. It's just so hard sometimes for me to get in and be working backwards and forwards. So it's been a while since I called back again. But anyway, I like that he was there.
You got it, man.
All right.
Good enough.
Listen, I always think, I've been a Cowboy for many, many years. I've seen from Rodgers stuff. I saw all the Super Bowls.
Okay.
But anyway, everybody just gets so upset. The Cowboys are doing fine. We'll be okay. We got a great quarterback, as I always said. This guy will give you everything he got. Reminds me of Tony Romo, even when Romo had back problems and everything. He just gives you everything he got. Now, if everything is not good enough, that's just the way it is. But I think on the offense, what we got to do is just get just a little bit more creative. I just feel like Deuce Vaughn and the rest of them, they can do okay, but you got to just run them in the right spots. All the receivers can catch, but they got to understand that some of the receivers has the it factor. CD got the it factor. The rest of them just can catch. But I really do think young man that we're not playing, Flournoy, I guess that's his name.
Yeah.
I think he got that it factor, and I think you need to put him out there. Now, that's just my opinion, but every time I saw him in preseason, I'm saying, like, well, wait a minute. I like that guy. And I think he changed his number to number 80, and I like when we got an 88 on one side and a 80 on the other side. It just reminds me of the days. So I think we're gonna be fine. And make sure that fullback, what's his name that we got?
Lipke.
Make sure he get his hands on the ball a little bit more in the offense, and I think we're gonna be fine. Now, as far as the defense, I don't know if there's any players we got out there because we got some that got hurt and stuff like that, but I think we'll be fine, and everybody be talking about pushing us over the edge. We want to go over the edge, but each time you get to the playoff, if I'm not mistaken, you're only like 2 to 3 games away from the Super Bowl. So we've been right there. Jerry Jones has been doing a pretty good job in getting us right there. So we just need to take it over the top, and then you got a quarterback. You got a quarterback that believes, and he got faith, and look, that man going to give you everything you got. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to let you go. What Jerry Jones need to do with Dak Prescott, especially in this contract, if they can go back and put this in his contract, when he's done finished playing here, to make sure he don't go nowhere. Stay right there on the sideline, because if we should have kept Tony Romo on the sideline, because his brain knows football. Boy, if you could just make sure that when Dak finished playing, that he's a coach or a quarterback coach or something, I think we'll be double. I think that'll be double bonus.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. You said a lot there. I don't know if, I don't know if, what are we listening to here? Nice. I think that Romo, he didn't want to be on the sidelines. Even when he was hurt, he wasn't really, that was kind of a knock on him. Great quarterback, great commentator. I don't know how quarterback coach he would be. That was kind of a different time for him. I don't think there's a lot of people that think, Romo was helping Dak in his rookie year. That really didn't happen a whole lot. But and Dak's different. His leadership's different. Maybe that will be the case. You said it several times. Dak gives you, all that he has. I think Jerry paid him about all that he had too. So like that doesn't really work anymore. Like the whole he's going to give you everything he's got. It's got to be at a top level. It's got to be an elite level, because that's what you're paying for. That's what you expect. You're not paying him because he's NFL Man of the Year and he's been a really good guy and he's great in the community and he's been pretty good and all that. You're paying that kind of contract because you think he will be one of the elite quarterbacks still in the next 5 years, and that's where he's got to be. And so that means he's got to take over when you don't have a running game, and he takes over when your receivers are average or whatever. I know CD's not average. I'm just saying the whole group. You've got to raise the game of other players. That's what a $60 million quarterback has got to be. Is that when they're down by 4 Sunday night against the Steelers, 24-20 back on their own 9-yard line with no timeouts and 3 minutes to go, he's got to go 91 yards or whatever, 90 yards down the field and score a touchdown. Figure it out. That's what that's what you have to do. You have to be that type of guy. And I think Dak can be that kind of guy, and the Cowboys believe it too. So he needs to give it everything he's got, and he needs to do it for the next 5 years, and it's got to be good enough. All right, good stuff, guys. 10 calls. We've got some first-time callers. We got some of the OGs that call. Good stuff for sure. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about more and talk about the Steelers and talk about where this team is on Cowboy Storyline. So for Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. We'll see you tomorrow, Cowboy Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!